Hi everyone, welcome to the channel and welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to be walking through how to do sprint planning and sprint retrospective in Jira so you can run your agile ceremonies effectively and keep your team in sync. So let's break it into two parts. First, we're going to understand the planning of the sprint, and the next thing we're going to do is run the retrospective. So the first part is to sprint plan in Jira. So to do this, sprint planning is where your team decide what work will be done in the next sprint. To do this, go to the backlog view on your project and you will see upcoming sprint at the top and the product backlog below. Now the next thing to do is to create a sprint. So click on create sprint button above your backlog and this will generate an empty sprint container. So once you do this, you can now move on to the next step, which is to add issues to the sprint. So drag issues from the backlog into the new sprint. You can use filter or sort to find priority item faster. The next thing to do is to set sprint goals. So click the sprint name to open details and write a clear sprint goal that align the team on what's important. Once you're done that, you can now start the sprint. You can choose the start date and the end dates. It's usually between 1 to 4 weeks depending on the project you're working with. And once that is done, you can now move on to the next part, which is the sprint retrospective in Jira. So retrospective helps team improve each sprint by reflecting on what went well and what could be better. Jira doesn't have a native retro board, but you can run it in two ways: the manual setup or with a marketplace app. The first method, which is a manual retrospective in Jira, at the end of the sprint, you can click complete sprints from the board and you can review the sprint report to see the completed work versus incompleted work. Once you do that, you can now discuss what went well, what didn't go well, and action item for improvements. The next method is to use a Jira retrospective app. So to do this, go to the app section and find new apps. Once you on that tab, you're going to search for retrospective, and some of the tools include Parable. Now install and run a structured retrospective inside Jira. Now this is how to perform sprint agile planning and sprint retrospective in Jira. So thank you for watching this video and see you in the next one.